Hey guys, so it's been a while since I've done a garden tour, but I wanted to show you my garden and how it looks at the end of September after such a big drought season that we had. And because we hardly got any rain, I haven't really been able to water the garden because of some watering restrictions. But things are still alive and not looking too bad, but there isn't quite as much color as maybe I may have in other years. And then, there's always the rabbit and the deer that I know I keep complaining about all the time. But I'm trying to add more plants that are rabbit resistant and deer resistant. Rabbits do have a much wider palette, and there are very few plants that are rabbit resistant, whereas the deer leave more plants alone than the rabbits. But anyway, I added some heucheras here. They're the beautiful, this beautiful pinkish red color, which I'm absolutely in love with and wish I would have bought 2 more. The old heucheras I have are much darker colored, and those have never really recovered. I'm keeping them here in case they will come back at some point. Yeah, these will stay caged up through the winter, these new ones, and see if they can survive the winter and give me some color. I have also added some ajuga, which is a little difficult to see here. They are much darker colored, and I hope they can add and fill in this area in the front border. The astilbes are done blooming, and the rabbits have nibbled and eaten the leaves off of many of the astilbe plants. So they don't look as full, but they usually regrow and don't take too much damage from that. The hydrangeas, unfortunately, do not have a whole lot of blooms. Without having a whole lot of rain and not being able to water as much, I just couldn't get new blooms, and then any new buds were definitely eaten by the deer. They did discover these plants this year, and they've left them alone for many years, but now suddenly they found them, and I just don't have as many blooms, but hopefully next year will be better with the hydrangeas. I added some salvia here, and the hummingbirds have been absolutely loving these salvias. I will keep some of these for next year. They self-seed so easily in my garden, but I did buy some other types of salvia seeds, and hopefully I will get a little bit different colors, which is what I want to do with this bed here. I caged up this fern and it suddenly came back. So clearly this is a rabbit feast, and I can't seem to grow this particular one. I might be digging this out and putting it in my mom's garden, because I just don't think it'll ever survive here without being just completely devoured. The columbine, it looks beautiful, but it is missing a lot of leaves because, once again, the rabbits have eaten this. Now, this is supposed to be rabbit resistant, but they just have eaten it away. And I don't know if it's because of the drought and not enough vegetation for them. So maybe they've taken to eating this. Our new dogwood, red twig dogwood, has seen better days. It does have some fungal disease, and I think some of the leaves have fallen. Plus, it's been eaten by the deer, and even though we caged it up, the deer can still reach in, but at least the rabbits have left it alone at this point in time. So maybe it'll do better next year. Inside of my veggie garden, I am growing some flowers, and the dahlias have finally showed up. I think it may have been because I didn't realize I needed to fertilize them, and I've started doing that, and they are just looking magnificent. And this particular one I am in love with, and I think it's called Millennia Floor, but I'm going to just put up the name either way. And this is the type of dahlia that I've been wanting for some time, which is a little bit more like the smaller and just this pom-pom kind of look. And I absolutely am in love with this. I've got 3 different grow bags. I wasn't going to keep tubers Now I am. I absolutely love this and I want it every year in my garden. It is just absolutely stunning. I have 2 clematis here, and this one is finally flowered. This is the first time I've ever seen a flower on this clematis, but I don't know if I can keep it. I may have to get rid of it, and this is rabbit food and deer food. So not sure that it'll stay here. I might try one more year, and otherwise it may have to replace it with something else. If you've seen one of my other videos, I grew some parsley and I was growing it so I can get swallowtail, the swallowtail butterfly to lay eggs, and they did. And I had some caterpillars and they got so big and beautiful. And I threw a cover over it, and I'll put up some video that I took of it. And I thought I was protecting them really well from birds eating them. But then after I filmed, the very next day, all dozen were gone. So clearly a bird was keeping an eye and found them. And unfortunately, I lost them all. So lesson learned, if I do want swallowtail butterflies, I think I will have to bring the caterpillars in. At least when they're like halfway through growing, and yeah, I guess I can't leave them out in nature. So that's a big lesson learned. Another flower that I'm growing in this veggie garden is alyssum, and in every bed I have put some alyssum, and I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. And I will be adding it in this veggie garden again next year. It's supposed to attract some beneficial insects, so definitely it's going in my garden. So this is my cut flower garden area, and this is the flowers that I had winter sown. And the star of the show in this fall season is the strawflower. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. And I am putting my investment in strawflowers next year. I am growing 3 or 4 different colors because I absolutely am in love with this flower and how well it holds up through all conditions, through drought, through cold, through hot, everything. So I did seed very late some cosmos, and I'm finally going to hopefully get a few of them. But they were late, so not going to see very much of that. What I probably won't be growing next year is status and feverfew. While the status was nice in the spring, I think that requires some succession planting in order to really get nice long stems and blooms, and I just don't think I want to be bothered with that. And then the feverfew, I just didn't like the smell. They're very pretty, but they were very stinky for me. At least that's how they smell for me, very, very stinky. So no feverfew for me next year, at least not in my cutting garden. And I did seed also very late some zinnias, and these are finally budding up. And hopefully I'll have a few flowers to enjoy, but I have to do that a little earlier next year. These are the Queen Red Lime, I think it's the name. Now this dahlia patch is a hot mess, but it is flowering like crazy now. I have a couple of different ones. This is one of my favorite ones for sure, and this is one that I overwintered, the tuber. And it's just spectacular. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I will be saving this tuber as well. I love the really dark stem on this, and the leaves are just a darker green, which I absolutely love, love, love. And this is one of the few dahlias I will have again next year. My Penhill watermelon, as usual, grows super, super tall. And, you know, the blooms are huge, but I don't think I'm going to save this one next year. I'm kind of done with that one. I did buy a cafe au lait at Walmart this year. Only one tuber survived in the ground, and I think it keeps being eaten up. But I might try to save this one for next year and see if I can grow it again. I don't know. That's one we'll see. And then the other one is in the back, and I'll get closer to it. The other one is this Arabian Night, which is this gorgeous deep red color. And I really love this one, so I will be trying to keep this one as well. And I have 2 plants of these, and I like the size. I like them being kind of small. It just works so much better in the vase with some flowers, at least for me. This is still a little big for me, and putting it in the very small arrangements that I like to make. But this one is just so beautiful that I just have to have it again. But yeah, just saving a few less of the dahlias next year. And I'm going to try to not buy more dahlia tubers because I want to put in different flowers and not take up as much real estate with the dahlias. I just want some of them, but not too many. And I'm ending with this bed because this is probably the worst one. Simply very little color. Things have dried up significantly. And it's just not looking great. I'm hoping that next year will be better with no drought. The lavender never rebloomed, and this grass has seen better days. I'm not sure if just it's not good anymore. This is where some rabbits tried to nest, and I don't know if that caused some issues with this. So I might be rehoming this in another part of my garden, see if it does okay, and otherwise it's out the door. I've added some of that salvia here as well, so it's now blooming a bit, and the hummingbirds have just been loving this salvia and visiting my garden, and I just love it. So more salvia for next year for sure. I tried adding some strawflower, and they do well. They clearly are deer resistant and rabbit resistant, so I will be adding more of that for some color next year because I absolutely love strawflowers, and yeah, putting a lot more in here. The coneflowers did well, but now they are just done for the season, and I didn't get enough blooms. You know, they didn't last long. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to fertilize them, and maybe that's my issue, but I'm also going to dig them out, and I want to put them all together in an area where I can just cage them all up. And what I'll do is move some of the agastache and put that in the front, because the deer and the rabbit don't care for the agastache. They've never bothered it. And yeah, so I want to rehome a few things and just move them around in this bed for next year. The alliums are done. They didn't hold up their blooms as long as past years, but I think I recently read that they are heavy feeders, and I didn't really add any kind of fertilizer to them. So next year I will be sure to fertilize them in the spring. I added another Sedum Autumn Joy to go with this one here. Now this one got eaten by either rabbit or deer, and so the blooms are a little bit more sporadic and not quite as tight and together as this one. But maybe next year I'll have a little more luck with that. But yeah, I like the color here, and like kind of having a little bit more. The coneflowers, like I said, are so done. And they don't have any more blooms, but I keep the seed heads. They look nice and they feed the birds, so we'll leave those alone. I really should have pulled this one out. This is the Rose Campion, and should have pulled that out a long time ago, but yeah, I just haven't gotten much out here in the garden. But the Gara is looking absolutely gorgeous, and another one that I really want to move from this space here, and try to move some of the rabbit, the flowers that the rabbits like, maybe in the center, and just add one giant cage in the center, and then surround it with things that they don't like around the outside edge, to see if things can look a little bit better in here and not have all these individual cages everywhere. The calendula has finally shown up in this garden, and I think it's because I cut back a lot of things that were very tall, and so these were finally got sun on this side of the bed, and they just look beautiful. This color here is the one I absolutely am in love with, and so I want to collect the seeds on this one to grow it again next year. The Rhodeckia is just done. It's not looking great, and it didn't really rebloom as nice. Maybe another one that probably needed some fertilizing, but we'll do better on that next year. This rose campion, I should have just pulled it out. It just didn't do well with the drought and heat, and didn't rebloom like it has in past years for me. So a lot of things did suffer this year with this very dry, hot weather. This grass is my favorite this time of year. It is absolutely stunning when it starts turning this red color. This is Little Blue Stem, standing ovation, and it is gorgeous. I absolutely love this. There are 3 in here, but I think I'm going to dig them out next spring and just spread them out a little bit more. And if I can find 2 more, that would be great to add to this bed. And then I added a few ajuga in here as well. I want to see if it takes off in this area, and hopefully the rabbits will leave it alone. So far they have, but you never know. They find something and then it just gets eaten up. So, but it's supposed to be rabbit resistant, so we'll see, because it's got a tough leathery leaf. And the yarrow, ever since it started blooming, it just has held up beautifully. I cut it back, and I have some new buds and some flowers again. So this has done pretty well this year, given it being eaten up very early, and then my husband kept up with the spraying. And once he did that, then it did start flowering, and I got some nice blooms. So, keeping up with the spray, yes, it does help. The thing is that I have such a large garden that I don't feel like I can really just keep doing that everywhere, and the expense of it. I'd rather really try and find some plants that are that are rabbit and deer resistant, and salvia is one of them. Agastache is another for sure. Grasses, generally, if they're perennial grasses, a lot of them they will leave alone. Alliums they'll leave alone. So those types of plants I need to add a little bit more of in my garden, and not have to maintain it so much and spray it so much to keep up and have some color and some flowers. So anyway, thanks again for joining me in this garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.